My colleague Ernest had the opportunity of going off-roading in the Toyota Land Cruiser 300, and he was able to prove just how capable that vehicle is. Well, what if you're the kind of consumer that wants the same capabilities but wants a little bit more luxury? I might have the perfect vehicle for you, because this is the all-new Lexus LX.
The new LX has similar dimensions to its predecessor, but now has boxier and more angular looks. The front end is a huge talking point amongst many, creating varying opinions on its beauty or lack thereof. Personally, I like it. Say what you will, there's no denying that it's definitely striking.
The moment you enter the Lexus LX, you're met with what feels like a luxury boardroom. Oftentimes, luxury SUVs are quite big, but with this car, big is an understatement. As you can see, I've got this huge, what feels like a table to sit comfortably, and I can rest my arm with ease, and I'm met with this lovely combination of wood. I've got metal, I've got gloss black, I've got this soft touch leather, and I've also got this wonderful stitching, and as a result, you've got a very old school, new school cabin, if that makes any sense. It doesn't feel like this car is trying too hard to be extremely modern. What I do love that Lexus has done in this car is the inclusion of buttons. We often complain about the fact that these modern cars today are too focused on touchscreen infotainment systems and the fact that everything has to work with gestures. With this car, all you need to do, you press a button and things work. You press that and things work. And what I also like is the fact that everything feels of a high quality. Even when you turn the knobs, everything feels good to touch. It feels expensive. You automatically know that you are in a luxury Lexus. Of course, we have got an infotainment screen that features Apple CarPlay, Android Auto, it goes without saying. But we also have the second screen that gives me all the necessary information that I would need for the vehicle mode that I'm in, for my off-road settings, and of course I've also got a digital instrument cluster. So overall, this car is the right blend between modern and at the same time quite old school, but a very nice old school, a luxurious old school. I'm quite impressed, and I feel like a bit of a boss in this thing. It's important to note that the Lexus LX either comes in a 4-seater, 5-seater, 6-seater, or 7-seater configuration. So you can really customize the interior space of this LX whichever way you want. This car, as we can see, is the 5-seater. And it is a very nice space to be sitting. For my backseat occupants, I have got this screen that will happily keep children busy for long road trips. I can link my Bluetooth, I can plug in my headphones, and I can simply sit back and relax and enjoy the Lexus LX experience. I'm not short on tech at the back as well. I've got my own aircon settings because you've got 4-zone Climatronic aircon in this vehicle. You've also got 2 USB-C ports, and you've also got an HDMI port so that you can also plug in maybe a PlayStation, maybe a tablet. But the world is your oyster in terms of what you can do from a tech perspective at the back of this car. You can see that this is a vehicle that is aimed at families, and it doesn't disappoint sitting at the back of this vehicle. Of course, being a vehicle aimed at families, you cannot disappoint the consumer of this kind of car when it comes to boot space. But I've got a sneaky suspicion that you won't be disappointed. Because believe it or not, this car has just over 1,100 liters of boot space. And as you can see, you could essentially fit a fridge at the back here. The boot space is incredible, which means that this car is the perfect vehicle to go on a long road trip with, because your family, your kids, everybody can take all their stuff and you're not going to have a space issue. This boot is ginormous. The first thing you notice when you start driving this Lexus LX is the sheer mass of the car. It is huge. Even if you're used to driving a standard size SUV, you're going to have to recalibrate your brain to deal with these dimensions because this is a very big car. The Lexus LX 500D is powered by a 3.3-litre V6 diesel engine, which produces 225 kilowatts and 700 Newton meters. So while it has 700 Newton meters, it's got a lot of mass to move around. And the interesting thing is, it's not a performance SUV. So when you hear those figures, don't think that this is a fast car. It's got plenty of power to push this mass around. And what I like most about it is the fact that it doesn't try to be a performance SUV. This car feels very purposeful on the road. Because it's so big, there's a sense of confidence that you have when you're driving it. You feel like a boss behind the wheel of this car. Even the nature of this V6 diesel is quite different to other V6 diesels that I've experienced. This one feels quite lethargic on the road, but in a good way. It feels lumpy and rich, and you can hear it ticking over and persuading you to drive this car in quite a comfort-orientated manner. Despite using a ladder frame chassis and riding on 22-inch wheels, this car is very comfortable. Potholes, speed humps, you name it, this car can handle it. Since this is known as a very versatile SUV, of course I have got a number of drive modes to customize my experience depending on the terrain that I'm in. And since we're in the city, I've currently got this car in comfort mode, and I wouldn't want it any other way. You might wonder then, who is this car aimed at? Especially with the price tag of 2.5 million rand for this 500D derivative. Why don't you get yourself the likes of a BMW X7, you may wonder, or even a Mercedes-Benz GLS? The difference between those cars and this one is the fact that with this car, you can literally go anywhere. And not to say that you can't go anywhere in those other cars. The only thing is, with this vehicle, you really want to go out and bundu bash in this vehicle. And I'm not sure if you want to do that with your lovely BMW X7. But before you go anywhere crazy in this car, I would recommend getting yourself a set of chunky tires, because the current low-profile tires that are fitted on this car are more suited to yuppies like myself. Overall, I can happily say that I am a newly converted Lexus LX fan. Despite its price tag and its striking looks, because it's a Lexus, there's an understated nature about this car, as if it's not trying too hard to be anything it's not. And I like that about it. So in short, this is a very appealing SUV.